Once more, Lisa, then you're done.
This is it. This is my first time doing this, so I'm a bit like...
It's the last one, no?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
This is it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Good for you. You've done very well.
Yeah,
You've been brilliant.
It has come across very good.
Okay, Lisa, when you're ready.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. You are listening to the final day of the Obsession podcast. It is day 17. It's been an amazing festival so far, but we are joined in the house by three legends. So welcome, John, Phil and Adam. It's such an honour to have you in the house. We're back again.
Great to be
here.
Yeah.
Great
It must
to
be
be
the hospitality.
Yeah.
It's certainly not the fee.
Or the commute.
Or the commute.
No. But it is definitely one of the finest hospitality experiences I've had. So thank you for having us.
An absolute pleasure. Well, what inspired me was the podcast that you did. Is it the Good Food podcast?
Yeah.
When all three of you were on that. And I sat down and I thought, oh my God, to get all three of you in a room and cook, or in a kitchen to cook, it would just be absolutely fantastic. And do you know what? I think it just sold out within a second. So it just goes to show, you know, the calibre between the three of you and is incredible. You know, I'm quite honoured to sit here next to you all, to be honest with you. But, it's going to be a fantastic night and it's such a pleasure to have you. So thank you very much for that.
Well, we're looking
That
forward
is
to
a
it.
pleasure, yeah. It's going to be an absolute banger.
Yeah, definitely. And the interesting thing is, I don't think you've all cooked together in the kitchen before or for a long time, or...
Per se. I've certainly cooked with Adam
Yeah.
many, how many years ago, Adam?
More than you'd want me to say. But
Oh, boy.
36 years ago.
Yeah.
We've done bits and pieces in between.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm the sort of connecting factor. Obviously, cooked a long time with Phil. In fact, that basically is my CV. That's it. So I don't need a CV anymore. That is it. I cooked with John for 5 years, and then another stint of time with Phil, and that's pretty much my whole career.
Amazing.
So it is an absolute privilege to be here today to cook with these guys. It's it's amazing. Feels really beautiful. Yeah.
No, it's funny. It's funny because we've all done a lot of stuff in the last how many years it is, 40 odd years of cooking, and cooked kind of all over the world with all sorts of interesting people. But this is right up there with there's just something really nice about it. It's kind of and it does feel very surreal to be kind of on the old dog slate, because
I don't know what mine is.
but
Old dog.
Yeah,
Speak for
I
yourself.
think it's worse.
Anyway, I took lots of things from that podcast. It was great, but I was absolutely outraged at how many times I said "fuck." So there we go. I've said it once.
Phil Howard.
Well, it was anyway. So now I've said it once, and that's it. I'm not going to say it again
Such
today.
an educated man. It's terrible.
No, it is. Whenever I hear myself speaking,
Do you know what? It's actually interesting because this
thought
is the
that
God's truth. I thought, why is it such an eloquent man swearing so much?
yeah,
A God's honest truth, because the way you speak, I'm in awe of, and it's so intelligent. I said, why? I remember thinking that. I did, honestly.
I married a potty mouth.
Trying to come down to my
She's got
level.
all sorts of great qualities, my bride. But she has a potty mouth.
I think myself, probably why I actually said that, I come from a very humble background in the Northeast. And that particular word, I'm not even going to say it, but that particular word, I use it too much.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the kitchen vocabulary, isn't it? Really, it just is.
So your careers have been huge and you've done so many, achievements. But what drives you now? What drives you now? What's the next thing? Because your careers have been so big, and you've achieved so much. But driving forward now, what drives you? What's the next?
Me personally, we've got a massive project in the sense that there's a restoration going forward of the Ritz. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I want to do is to actually see that through, bring on the you know, the next generation to actually just take the Ritz forward. Simple as that.
Yeah,
But it is,
help
yeah,
with
but it is massive. I
Yeah.
think we're all in a very different kind of different spot. I think.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like in my kind of winter years of cooking, but you know, what you know, I've done all sorts of stuff in my career, but the one thing that I still love more than anything else is cooking. The joy of cooking, of holding pans and wooden spoons and stirring things and sweating things and doing things and cooking, and that's what I don't cook as much in the restaurants as I used to, because I'm 60, I'm not 25 anymore, but it's doing this kind of thing. It's just, it's sharing kitchens with people, hanging out with people who get off on that very same thing. And there's a little bit of me that finds it quite emotional now in a way, because when I found cooking, it was like, I knew that I'd found the thing that was going to make my life a special life and a happy life and a fulfilled life. I absolutely loved it. It was all I cared about. Yeah. And I've been privileged to go on that journey. And yeah, there's been ups and downs, and it's been hard grafts and all the rest of it. But I mean, that is a privilege to spend a professional life doing something that you love. And
Absolutely.
so now that, you know, I still have my business interests. I've got to earn my crusts, but really it's about doing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And sharing a kitchen with people who love doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Massively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're all on slightly different places. I would like to think I'm in the autumn of my career.
I think you're just peaking, ads.
I'd say Trinity's probably a 20-year overnight success, actually. So it's I'm in a weird sort of spot, Lisa. But in terms of what drives me now, I think I spend a lot of time thinking now about where does this go, right? How does this end? I don't want it to end. I don't want to just sell everything. I don't want to disappear. I want this to sort of have longevity. So that's about succession proofing, and that's about people. Yeah. And that's about kind of having those people invested in the business and making sure that they're set up for success for the future. And that's my focus at the moment. I've got some unfinished business and things I want to do. I've still got a few projects in the line, but nothing crazy. We've done about as much as we're going to do. We're going to do another restaurant this year, actually. But really, it's about setting up the greater team now inside my business, so that we have a really solid, meaningful structure where everyone's bought into it, and then that hopefully pays out to be the future. I've also got another conundrum where my amazing two children have suddenly ended up in my business. They're both full-time in my business, so that's another beautiful problem, but another thing. So yeah, there's I've still got more to play out. I think still got a bit more to do, but I have achieved far more than I should have done with the cards I was dealt. So I'm incredibly grateful. Absolutely no regrets, and I feel like it's a real privilege to have landed where I am. So I'm happy. Yeah.
It's amazing, because we all talk about it, but leadership and the next generation are really important, aren't they? And I think leads us on to the fact that in the Royal Academy of Culinary Arts, RACA, John, you're the big cheese.
Oh.
Adam, what you've driven so far and how you've changed it.
Little baby belt.
Baby belt. And Phil as well, and time that people have invested in it to, make it something where, the next generation have got help and the guide and the encouragement and, these professionals around them to give them the advice.
100%. If you take the situation of how life has changed and evolved and the young's expectations, you have to be there to actually show them, one, it's still hard work. Yeah. And that will never go away from cooking. But there's a way for them to move forward, bring their own style to the forefront, and actually probably make it get better in every sense, whether it's refinement, whether it's the way we work, whether it's the hours we work. The problem is cooking is hard work and it takes time. Yeah. If we can get over those, everything actually moves forward in every sense. Yeah. And, there's so many people, cooking is improved in this country are, you know, in so many ways, but there's still so much more to do.
Yeah.
And it needs people just to guide the young to actually come forward and take it to the very highest level it can. Because I still think there's a lot to do in England, in Britain anyway.
Massively, yeah.
And the academy can play a massive part in that. It is. I always absolutely love the days I spend, close to the academy, the awards, and it is. But it comes back to that same thing. You seeing people walking into the industry, embarking on their journey, with that level of, not all of them, but lots of them.
Yeah.
That level of. It's like a disease is a wrong word 'cause it's a negative thing. But if cooking gets you, it's got you. And when you see young people who've been got by cooking, it's powerful. And if they can then plug into something that's going to just play a useful role in keeping them grounded, educating them, teaching them, leading them, inspiring them,
They have to be the right people. They have to be with the right people for that.
Link them up with the right kind of mentors.
Yeah.
It makes a massive difference because everything does take time, and actually the three of us have had quite different journeys. But the reality is investing in your craft and learning is something that will always categorically serve you well. And some people spend more time doing it than others, and that's kind of a choice. But learning your craft and when you see a great young cook, it's just such a special thing. Somebody who's got all, or at least most of the skills that are needed to kind of come together to make somebody really good.
The academy's responsibility is basically finding those people.
Yeah.
And we actually start with a doctor's school. We have a great apprenticeship. I always felt, and we've got work to do at the moment, but I always felt that the academy apprenticeship was the finest apprenticeship in this country for many years. And we just need to step that up again and get as many people as possible, just show them the ropes. And of course, there's that real thing of actually developing yourself through the academy, going on to the annual Awards of Excellence. I love the annual Awards of Excellence, always have, because your staff, I'll encourage them to go into it every time, because they go out, they look at other people, they measure what they are doing, how well they're doing, and they realize that they're in the right place to develop and keep moving forward. And then, of course, as you move out of the annual Awards Excellence, by the time you're 28 or whatever, you're looking at actually real refinement of what you can do. And you have that obvious thing of the MCA. Yeah. It's a very, very tough thing to achieve, but it's one that's really worthy. And you show your craft in the best possible way. And that's what we have to aim for, and just keep that rolling forward, And then we've got, that real great skills that are honed in, and just people will just pass it on and pass it on. It's a mentality.
It is, massively. It's encouragement, isn't it?
We spent a long time figuring out that part with the Royal Academy, that journey, that full circle thing that we produce as the Royal Academy. Yeah. And that is a very pleasing thing that we do. But its fundamental objective is education, is to get young people into the industry, support them, wrap them around, make them feel safe, and then give them the best possible chance for success. And I think that's, amongst other things, creating a bit of steerage and a bit of a North Star for the industry. The industry's, it's loose, it's all over the place, but actually, if it has a body that it can look up to and kind of go, no, that's where cooking in this country is, that's where the grown-ups are, that's what I think the Royal Academy is. And it sits in a really humble, relaxed space where everybody can kind of lean into it and go, no, that's where it's going. But it provides steerage, I think. Yeah. Do you know, Lisa, one of the things, I was talking to John last night over that wonderful dinner we had. What's really interesting about this particular dinner we're having tonight is obviously there's the three of us here, and we're the guys sat at this table here today. But actually, we've all got our chief lieutenants here, with Harry and Deepak and Adam and Michael Olive here and the two lovely guys from the Ritz. that's the message I want really to come from this dinner that we're doing here tonight. Yeah, of course we've done all our thing. We have a persona, public name, whatever, all that stuff. But actually, what we've done, more important than that, is create a legacy piece with these young kids that are coming through and are absolutely going to be the future of the industry. That's the piece. That's the message I kind of want to get across, because unless people do more of that, there won't be a future of the industry, right? So I think that's the piece I took away from that last night. We were sat on one side of the table, they're on the other side of the table, and you think, wow, that's there amazing, right? There it is right there. Yeah. So that's my piece in it.
Yeah, and I think that's why, when we get different chefs to do the event, we always encourage them to bring some of the team with them. Not only is it kind of a safety net because someone knows, what your dishes are and can help, deliver that in the kitchen, but it's such an experience for them and what they're exposed to, meeting new people, different techniques, different food styles and stuff like that. And, all the time with our young chefs that are in here, it's such invaluable experience for them. And day in, day out, they see different things, they meet new people. And again,
an obsession is a different level.
Yeah.
It obviously it's evolved, but for quite a long time now. And obviously, this particular thing, this table is an evolution this year. But I mean, it is a very impressive event on every level. And for for young chefs to come in and just be exposed to the all of what it takes to make Obsession what it is it's massive.
Yeah,
it's not just the kind of the big names knocking around in their whites. It's the whole shebang is really impressive. It's heavyweight. Yeah, it is
heavyweight. Yeah. How many times have you done it? were you in the very big? Were you in the first one?
The money keeps me coming back.
Were you in the very?
I was in the very first one. I did the first 10 years.
Did you?
Yeah.
10 consecutive years.
Goodness.
And then and then got my
then we had
P45. Piegate, yeah. They get damaged Lisa as much as damaged me.
I just remember rolling those pies till the final minute when they're going in the oven before the main course is going. I fire from the hip. My career has been based on firing extensively from the hip.
No shit.
And I like it. But more often than not, as you amass experience, you fire from the hip, but you get it right. But Piegate I grossly misunderestimated the workload of individual game pies for 130.
Yeah, nice.
Obviously, Obsession, this is the 26th year. It's been going a long time, which owes to its success. Obviously, you've all had long careers, and the understanding of the young generation now feeling like you have to gain success immediately and that speed versus actually patience and repetition and experience.
Immediately, what you just said there, everybody wants everything now.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, it doesn't happen. And in our industry and our craft, it takes time. And I think everybody would agree it'll probably take you 10 years to become a good chef or a good cook. And, then you've got to learn how to really manage. As much as you can be a 24-year-old running a kitchen, it's how you run the kitchen. It's how you develop, how you actually teach your people. It's how you actually, get your food to the customer. And, I've been in the industry more than 50 years and I still learn. The difference is I learn from the young. I can guide them in lots of different things, but they can bring me so much more as well. And it's probably the reason why I've actually stayed on or been able to stay on. Because, you're not just actually cooking all the time, especially in a brigade like I've got. And when I go out there and I actually see them and I say, Jesus, what's it? And then suddenly becomes part of the whole culture of what you're doing. So the learning aspect, it does take time. And I just wish people would realize that because they'll never have longevity unless they give themselves time.
Certainly, what you see now, and London is where I'm based, so that's where my focus is kind of. That's where my attention is focused. Is everything appears to be so much more transient and restaurants pop open, and they can be amazing, but it'll be interesting to see, because it is a new, there is the current generation, things do seem to happen much quicker. I think social media enables people to get exposure much quicker, earn a good crust perhaps quicker than we could, but it'll be interesting to see what happens, because the reality is, touch wood, life is long. And if you want to be a chef for a full career, that it's a long time. And if you and it kind of wears you down. So I'm not quite sure how I don't think many young chefs now have a vision of opening a restaurant and staying there till they're an old person.
That's a very interesting point.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know whether if there's any strategy at all. There doesn't have to be. It's not a judgmental thing. But certainly, I was going to open a restaurant and stay this way for 25 years, and eventually spat the dummy and did something different. But I don't think it'll be interesting to see what happens to the group of talent that we have now. What will they do for the next 40 years? And because.
It's interesting though.
Flipping restaurants, and it's exhausting, it's expensive, it's kind of, and it is a different world. It's hard.
Restaurants are definitely not being set up for 20-year periods.
No.
Now they are definitely more of the moment. There's nothing wrong with that, and they should capture what's going on. I think that's really important. But don't seem to be born necessarily out of, I have a craft and a talent and a passion in this particular thing. I'm going to open a restaurant and it's going to be here for a long time. And I'm going to grow and chip away at my craft.
Yeah.
And it's going to get better and better. I think
that's what's always been the best restaurants, isn't it?
I think so.
The ones that have started very humbly, they've got a few tables, they've got very little to present other than the food that they actually do. And then, of course, they grow. And that investment comes at a slower pace, but they've got a much better structure. And the greatest restaurants of the world are the ones that have been very humble and grown and grown and grown.
Over years, longevity.
Yeah, grow organically.
There's something profoundly different. You can feel it when you walk into a restaurant. The passage of time counts for not everything, but an awful lot.
Yeah.
It's the one thing you can't cheat on.
But even with all the talent in the world, you can put together a phenomenal team and you can open something very impressive, but it just isn't the same. It just hasn't got that kind of that can't hug its clients in that same way that a kind of a mature.
I agree. I am one of my biggest issues is my patience. I'm one of the most impatient people ever, and it's been a downfall of mine. However, looking back from the place I stand now, I feel like it's an utter privilege to have got where I've got to over such a long period of time. And what I know is really my wisdom, my thing about my industry, my craft, my cookery, the way I run my business, that is all really solidly embedded because it's taken so long.
Yeah.
No,
that's showing patience.
No, that's resilience. because I have to fight the itchy one in me.
There's different aspects where chefs won't be patient.
Yeah.
It's a funny one, patience, isn't it?
It's like learning your craft first, isn't it?
Well,
thinking that you're at a level when you need to start.
They need things fairly rapid. But as time goes by and you've done lots of different things, suddenly you say, well, I was patient with that. And you mightn't be a patient character, but you've got to have a certain amount of patience to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely learned it now, and I'm better at it, letting things play out a little bit more. And that's definitely a better option. But also, I just think compounding your craft over 20 years like that. Yeah. God, you get to a beautiful place where cookery for me is now just completely and utterly instinctive. I don't have to think about it, which is ultimately why I'm able to do some of the stuff that I do outside of my actual kitchen, because it's just completely natural. Cooking, it's like putting a pair of socks on. It just becomes completely natural. That is a beautiful place to land in eventually after time.
Yeah, it is.
And you do get there eventually. People will get there. But you can see when a restaurant is forced and it's not quite natural for people, but they want everything now.
Yeah.
And it costs a fortune.
But I do understand why. I do understand that. And everything is very instant gratification. So that's what with the world we live in now. But I do worry about, all I'm trying to say is it's really nice to have taken that much time and got to a place like this now, and having had that body of time in there, and I've still got time to, to make it all work still. So, stick with it, kids.
Stick with it, yeah.
The future of the profession. So, what in your minds? What's the next crucial
That's
step?
fucked.
I'm
out of here.
Is the biggest challenge ahead education? What does it come down to in your own thoughts looking forward?
The current anxieties is actually very different to keep a business afloat in the current climate, and that's a combination of all sorts of factors. It is changes in legislation made by implemented by people who don't understand our industry and the subtleties of our industry. Every industry has its own peculiarities, and ours sure as hell does. And a lot of the decisions that have been made in recent years are they are farcical. So it's very hard. And listen, there's obviously some good things in there, paying people for the hours they work. When we first started cooking, you just took it. If you didn't want the job, don't take it. But if you wanted to come and work for me, you didn't even think about the hours you worked. So it's all sorts of good stuff.
I remember that.
But you loved it.
I loved every minute of it. You
one team, one dream, mate. So I mean that is a very real challenge. Is actually just keeping your head above water. Is major, and then I think also the public is fickle, right? It sounds critical, but they're transient in what they want, and so things move very quickly, and the restaurants that are again my perspective is London, but there's a very current theme in restaurants. You just get I'm not going to say it because it sounds like I don't want to be judged for what I think, but there seems to be a format right now that all the new restaurants are opening to that will die a death because something else will come in, and so it's just really hard, I think, to actually see a way forward with confidence. Yeah. I did overhear David Carter saying the other day that above all else, you've got to cook good food, but above all else, creating a place with a good vibe where you are happy to be is the single most important thing, and that's much easier said than done. I mean, it's
I agree with that. I think there is another level though. There's the gritty part of the labour cost in business now, and I agree with you. It's really great that chefs are being paid as professionals now. That's one of the biggest jumps that's happened in the last 6-7 years, but our restaurant models can't absorb that. Yeah. And everybody's now sitting on a wage margin, which is unachievable, but we're kind of going, okay, we'll just wear that for a bit. We'll wear that for a bit. There's going to come a point where that's not wearable anymore. No. So this model, I'm doing a bit of a prediction thing, but I do predict that in the next 5 years, it's going to change. The model of restaurants you currently know will have to change because how labour intensive they are cooking food, taking a raw ingredient and turning it into something immaculate and beautiful has a massive labour cost. Yeah, it does, that labour cost can't be transferred to the table or the bill. So it's not working. You're going to see a lot more automation. Simple as that. You're going to see more QR code ordering, delivers in different ways, and it's going to change. I don't know, not necessarily thinking at the very top end of stuff because it has its own buoyancy methods at the very top of stuff. But actually, in the middle sector, which I have to say is completely, disastrous at the moment, that is going to change. You're going to experience restaurants that don't exist at the moment because it's not sustainable the way it is now.
Does not stack up.
No, it doesn't stack up. Yeah. But then that's innovation. We're a very good industry at pivoting, growing, changing, challenges. We're good at that, and I think there will be some really interesting stuff come out of it, as long as the cooking stays great.
Yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it? But it has become harder. And I think, the next generation that come into that, how they deal with that. And also what we've talked about is the fact of wanting to run before you can walk and then understanding the business. But when you go into certain businesses, it's about the people that you work with as well and then learning to lead them because everyone's different. It's about how you guide them through that. But it is a very, it's a hard
But
place. It's an enjoyable place.
But the way
it's
that
hard.
you react in a business as the top cheese, as the leader, never forget that you're actually, when you're making decisions in a business like that and changing your business, pivoting your business, you're actually teaching the people below you great leadership. That's where they learn resilience. That's where they learn problem solving. That's what they're looking at you like a father. You look at a father and what they do, you follow them, and they're looking up at you. So your decision making is really important to their future.
Massively,
yeah.
When you talk about learning though, when I started cooking, the early days, years at the Square and before that, we used to order everything in its most raw state.
Yeah.
It was any piece of protein, it was dead. That was it, and then you had to process it past that, and that was part of learning your craft, learning a respect for the ingredient. If you've got throbbing fingers because you filleted 25 dory on the lunch menu, and you're not going to burn that piece of John Dory either. You're going to, and you just can't afford to do that anymore.
No.
Very, very few places can anymore.
Yeah.
It is becoming increasingly challenging. And it is a real
shame.
shame, where in the end you have to start looking at products that begin to look like supermarket products because they've been part processed. And it's kind of...
I grew up, and my apprenticeship at Claridge's was a bakery, it was a butchery, there was a fishmongery, there was a patisserie section, there was a larder section, garde-manger section, there was a potato section, and I as well as all the other sections that we now know.
Yeah.
And I did time on every single. What a privilege is that?
Yeah.
I feel sorry that young people won't get that opportunity anymore, because that just can't exist anymore. If you opened that now, you would be bankrupt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would.
Simple as
That's just
not
not
sustainable.
But what a privilege for me to grow up through that. I feel, that's
I've still got most of that. And I'm going to say 95% of it I've still got, but I'm very much aware that it's not feasible.
Yeah.
Do you think that things are going to have to compromise, even in somewhere like the Ritz, that there's nowhere else really that could do what you're doing? Do you think there's going to have to be compromised because of labour costs as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is...
And that is tragic.
Fucking tragic. I'm dropping it.
Yeah, there you go. And the Ritz has got to be, through your unbelievable stewardship, in the greatest place it's been for many, many, many years, where it is actually one of the, not just in terms of its accolades, but the top restaurants in London. It's the most demand. It's just people love the Ritz. It's a very special restaurant for all the right reasons. So from an economical point of view, you have got as much money coming in the top of that business, that restaurant, as you could have. Whereas lots of places that kind of aspire to the lofty levels that you're at actually aren't full. They don't do anywhere near the kind of take the revenue that you take. So if you can't make it work, then no one's going to.
Yeah, I get that. But
Buggered.
Yeah, very true. But the big thing for me that makes that work is the customer and what the customer gets. And that's not from the chefs, but from the service staff and how they are, to make them feel welcome, to make them feel warm, to make them feel as though they're having a real good time, and with sincere people. It's so important. So many times we forget that the person that makes the experience for the guests is the service people. And when that comes together, I think that was the big changing point for the Ritz restaurant, was the service and the mentality of the service. And we give them, for so many years, it was plated service. When I actually arrived back in the Ritz, on the front of the menu, and you've got to remember, this was 22 years coming up ago. So you're going to realize how different. And on the menu, it was from Mr. Giles Shepherd, who was my boss, or big boss of the Savoy Group before that. And it had, our service is service sur plat. And I thought, how come you're so many years behind and outdated? And you've got a room that's so ornate. There's a specific style that you actually have to dance to. Yeah. And of course, the waiters were just going like this, and they were, they weren't caring. And then suddenly you start actually giving them more and more tableside service. Suddenly, they're growing. They're like peacocks, and their communication with the guest changes.
Yeah.
and then it actually works. So it takes so much more than just the beautifully cooked piece of fish or whatever, but it's also that lovely little smile and that communication that they can give, because they're creating that experience.
Yeah, massively.
I think that is a very important point. And it's interesting that actually, you know, it's us three that sat here. It's always, you know, it's the chefs that get the limelight, they get the coverage, they get all that, you know. But actually, there is a whole lot more that goes on, and restaurants are so much more than the sum of its parts. It's not just people cooking food. And you know, I've said it before, but ultimately, people don't come to my restaurant because, you know, they just want to eat my food. They want to sit there, study, and eat my food. And that's not what restaurants are for. Restaurants provide a body of escapism. They provide an element of time, a little capsule of time where you can sit there, pull up a chair, beautiful nappy. Someone's going to come and look after you, give you great wine, food, service, you know, and you escape that crazy world that's out there. And ultimately, that's what we sell. We sell escapism.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And I think if I've learned anything in terms of running, not as a chef thing, it's more of a running a business thing. But as a chef-led business, you just obsess and think people are only coming here because of the way I cook my John Dory, because I'm so bloody good at what I do. No, once you learn that actually there's a whole big package here, you will be more successful.
And that it's everybody within that business has a place.
Yes.
You know, and it's about being a team, isn't it? You're all as good as each other. You're all rowing in the same direction, and that team ethos is very important. You know, back in the day, it was very much like kitchen and front of house, and you'd have those arguments, or
no doubt,
they come together like
most
bolts.
successful restaurants have got that problem solved.
Massively.
Everything gelled. They are the successful restaurants. You look at EMP and the Thomas Keller Group and places like that. They have nailed that. You know, Danny Myers and people like that, they've nailed that, and for it they have success.
Yeah, massively.
Whilst we're all sitting together, we introduced the idea that you're handing the baton to your chefs to take part in the Peas Challenge for you.
Do you know the only thing I'm worried about? Those bloody peas.
I tell you.
Everybody
They're just peas, but they play with their eyes. Right.
Peas.
Yeah, peas. Peas have been going absolutely mad over these last 16, 17 days. And it's funny what a pea does to your brain, I'm telling you. But tweeze the peas, guys. Have we used tweezers before?
You're barking up the wrong trees, not peas.
I reckon you got the wrong three people.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring in your next generation to tweeze the peas for you.
Love that. They will love that.
They will
absolutely adore that, because Deepak's actually been pulling my leg all the... Chef, have you got your tweezers? Put your tweezers in your bag. I said, I'm not doing it. So I was chuffed as hell when they said, oh no, we're not doing it.
They're not many people. I can categorically say I have never put a single thing on a plate with anything other than my hands, and a spoon. And a spoon.
It's funny that, because Jason said when he did it, Jason Atherton, he turned around and says, I don't use tweezers, I use a spoon.
Yeah.
And then you just see everyone now with a pair of tweezers.
Yeah.
You see how it's
just a change. It is just a change. And it's.
Can you remember when you were cooking? I mean, everybody used a roasting fork as well when they were actually cooking away.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
But you never see that. A spoon, and then it evolved with spoon and everything. I can use a spoon.
Roasting fork.
You ask him to get you a roasting fork. They won't even know what they're doing. What is that?
Thank you very much.
The young parts.
Thank you.